Hey, Susan Palmer here. This is my weekly studio update. That was a little bit of Autumn Leaves, and I was playing some drop 2 voicings there. This is an assignment that I had one of my students work on this week, and it involves playing a drop 2 voicing up at least 4 positions, sometimes more if we've got frets and the melodic idea wants to go there. But basically I'm using these interior 4 strings, and I'm playing all inversions. I started with a C minor 7, and then I did something a little bit different on this one than what I had assigned, so I wanted to kind of get into that because I think it's a really cool thing, and I'm actually curious to know if other guitar players think about it this way. So what I'm talking about is the altered chord, the F7 in this case. And what I played on all of the F7s here, I just played the first half of the tune, but I played exclusively F altered chords. So I had a sharp 5 and a flat 9 in those. And you can construct those, based off of just one of these, F7 chords here. So if I'm thinking, here's my F7 shape right here in third inversion. So I have E flat, A, C, and F. Really cool grip there. And if I wanted to, add a sharp 5, that would be a C sharp. And if I wanted to add the flat 9, that would be a G flat. So that would put me right here in this really cool grip. Now this grip, as you know, or some of you may know, is also a B dominant 9 chord. So it's the same shape, which is pretty cool. This shape is also a D sharp minor 7 flat 5. So these chord shapes here, they really give you a lot of bang for your buck. But what is troubling about them, or what is challenging with those, is that you have to think about these different chord shapes in a few different ways. And sometimes the way that you're thinking about it, like if I'm thinking of this as a B9 chord, I'm not thinking of the root note anymore. I'm thinking of this is the third. That's the lowest note that I play in this, and I see all those other chord tones there. So the D sharp is my third of that B9 chord. And as you know, or maybe not, B9 is the tritone sub for F7. So it's totally cool to play B9 rather than F7 in this tune if the melodic line wants to go in that kind of altered way. Now, another place where this showed up, this same voicing showed up, is when I was playing those minor 7 flat 5 chords. So I've got A minor 7 flat 5 there. So this chord is actually the same shape as an F9 chord. So that's kind of cool. It's also the same as a B7 with a sharp 5 and a flat 9. So there's a few different ways to think about these. So the way that I usually instruct students to learn their drop 2 voicings is to learn the dominant 7s first. We don't even mess with any alterations, just learn those dominant 7s. And then from there, building the 9 chords. And then from there, thinking about the tritone sub, either with, thinking of it as a dominant 7 tritone sub or a dominant 9 tritone sub. So you get some different alterations with that. So anyways, that's kind of what's on my mind in terms of my studio for this week. The example that I played at the beginning, what I took was just the chord progression for Autumn Leaves, and I tried to play, as many different voicings as would allow, up and then back. And honestly, that's a great drill to do. I did that with I have an iReal Pro up at 60 beats per minute. It's very challenging, even at that. And I try to think creatively, rhythmically. Sometimes when I'm first practicing this, I'll really stick to those quarter notes and play very dry, just to show myself that I can do that. And then from there, I try to jazz it up, as they say, by playing some different rhythms. So that's an assignment I have students do with their drop 2s or with other voicings. Is just, take a song, put it on and play as many different voicings as you can for each one of those chord shapes. And, I try to work up in a logical, either ascending or descending way. Just, I think that makes it easier to ensure that you've got all of the voicings there. So yeah, I'm hoping that that'll help you guys with your inspiration in terms of those chord voicings. I gotta say, I was not able to play those chord voicings until fairly recently. I had a hand injury for about 12 years that really kept me from doing a lot of playing. But then several years ago, I started finding these old guitars. There's a certain time frame. I think it's the late 60s, sometimes the late 50s into the early 60s. That's what it is, because this is a 59 Music Master. And they have very narrow necks, and they also have very short scales. I think this is 22.5. I don't know all my numbers, but this distance right here is 1.5 inches, and that's a lot less than other guitars. Some people with larger hands than me don't have, they don't like the smaller guitar necks, but, my hand, if I put it in proportion, if I, hold it up to, a man, for example, my hand is way smaller. So I really benefit from having the smaller neck. And that's something that has allowed me to recover from an injury that I had and also play these drop 2 voicings. I mean, this A flat major 7, I never would have been able to play. If I tried it, I would have been in pain and lost some functioning for a while. So I really encourage you to find guitars that fit you. I pray every night that more guitar companies will follow some of these specs and make some guitars that actually fit folks who have smaller hands or injuries like I do. Now, the people who don't like these guitars, a lot of times, they say that the strings are a little too close together. And that's fair, but there's so many guitars out there for them. So I have like 4 guitars, I think, that, all have these pretty narrow necks. And that's just something that I've gravitated towards because they allow me to play. So I'm thrilled to finally have found these guitars. So if these drop 2s give you an issue, if they're hard to play, you're in good company. I don't think I've had any student who's worked on these who, feverishly anyways, who hasn't develop some kind of, pain or discomfort that is a momentary kind of situation. When you're working on these new voicings, you're often trying really hard, so you're exerting more pressure and kind of, putting some pressure in different places that maybe it's not the healthiest. So I do encourage you when you're first starting these to go very, very slow. And put lots of breaks into your playing too, so you're not overdoing it at any one given practice session. So, okay, now I think I'm done. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.